a different badge of honor. And this one comes from, so this is going to be being diagnosed with ADHD in 2013. I was approximately 20 to 21 years of age. And I'm calling this a badge of honor because it's a little bit like the courage to stop my ADHD medicine. There was courage in the first place to go in to see a psychologist and psychiatrist. So the history is, it's one of those things where I'll contextualize the after the diagnosis first, where after I was diagnosed, all my friends were like, of course you have ADHD, or like we knew, like there's like, I'm really energetic, like very, like I'll just shake couches for fun, and you know, like I have way too much energy, kind of thing sometimes compared to other people. And I've gotten like bullied a bit growing up, where like my energy was so intense, people would be like, can we see your arms? Implying like I was on drugs because I was so energetic and stuff like that. And I even got bullied from like teachers and teachers' assistants for that one. So abuse of authority in that sense. And so being diagnosed with ADHD, we kind of interpret it as back acting, right? I had ADHD, but that doesn't, because I wasn't diagnosed at a younger age, I don't actually have that confirmation that I had ADHD at a younger age, but it fits kind of my, what I was diagnosed for, and then kind of how I was when I was younger, and then kind of the social, how people treated me. Not everybody treated me that way, but there were people in authority positions who treated me that way. And so so how did I get the diagnosis? I was sexually assaulted in South Africa, and I went in and I finally kind of came to terms with that happening. And that was in the first half of June 2012 in South Africa. And then in 2013, I was at training for work at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and they were kind of talking about consent, and I kind of came to terms with I was raped. And for me, it was not immediate acceptance of that it had happened to me. There's a little bit of, I don't want to be a victim, that like I don't get that choice. That choice was taken away from me. And so there was just like huge kind of like, it's embarrassing, and still is kind of thing, and that it happened, and especially that it happened 12 times across 2 separate occasions by the same person. Why couldn't I protect myself? And so I went in for counseling for that, and when I was seeing, I saw a psychologist on campus at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, and a person, my psychologist, I'm not going to say her name, but it was her, for some identity protection there. She said she thought I might have dyslexia and ADHD, and would I be okay, like would I be interested in being tested? And I had always struggled with reading and stuff like that, and so the dyslexia one was kind of like, but not saying I thought I had it either way. I was just like, reading's always been a problem for me, and that's just something I continually have to work on. So I'm gonna go with no on that, though I do have reading problems. And so I said yes to the ADHD one because in my past, my hyperactivity, so attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, the H was the big thing for me. There's also attention deficit disorder, which is just ADD. The H is hyperactivity. And so I was very hyperactive, and I was like, well, if it's anything, it's the one with hyperactivity. So I got tested, and it was a yes, and I had a moderate / mild to severe diagnosis, which means medication is optional for me, and that was communicated at the time. And I was like, I was really struggling with the recovering from in the kind of trauma, and I had pretty severe PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was having difficulty in school. It was affecting my performance in school, and so I was like, all right, you know what, like, why not try the medication? And so that was an additional, I think I went in for this initial counseling in March 2013, but it took a little bit longer to actually start the medication. I think I started that in the summer, if I'm recalling correctly, of 2013. Or May, June, July-ish. August, May, June, July, I think. And there was, I had to see a psychiatrist all of the time I was on medication for my ADHD. I had to see a psychiatrist. That's standard ADHD. You have to see a psychiatrist in person every few months, to every month, depending on what one's going through, just as part of having ADHD. And so I was good, and I did that. But this is kind of about the diagnosis, and it was courage to, one, go in and get treatment when I needed help, to have the courage to identify that I needed help, to figure out where to go and to go there, right? Or know where to go. And then to ask for help, and then to say, okay, to maybe I have another, in addition to my PTSD here, I might have another problem, right? And be like, just say yes to the test. It's a test. It could come back as a no, right? And then I know, and like just move on. And so I got diagnosed, and then in 2019, I stopped my medication in October 2019, last half. And I've worked on my reading, and my reading is actually better than it has ever been. And so it's kind of a tail end of the diagnosis thing is, I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until I was an adult, approximately 20, 21 years old. And I kind of wonder, I've heard that there's like adult ADHD. I've heard that there's children's ADHD. I kind of wonder if I was like, maybe I'm a case where I did have it when I was younger, but I wasn't diagnosed. And I was diagnosed as an adult, but I've actually managed to grow out of it a little bit. The hyperactivity component is kind of the last remaining bit of it, but maybe that's just human. Maybe we're all, if we get enough exercise, we like it, it feels good, and our brains work better. Maybe there's just some little primal human activity tidbit that remains in me, and it's not the ADHD. Just not everybody has the same. I live with my parents, and there's a yard, and there's critters and stuff, and in that sense, I'm privileged. I make $30 every other week, so there's a downside to that. But I also, right, I have the means to enjoy nature, and so maybe there's a little bit of that preserves the primal, or maybe humans just are naturally active, like our bodies want it whether or not we get it, kind of thing. And sometimes we don't necessarily feel that craving or that drive for physical activity unless we're in the right environment. Yeah. So that's a little bit about that. I consider it a badge of honor of sorts, the initial diagnosis, because it required me pushing myself and to push through, and the kind of tail end of that of wondering if I did have it when I was younger and at the time of diagnosis, and I had it for the time I went through medication and stuff like that, but I wonder if it is possible to end it, right? And if I've really worked through it, or is it something that's with me for life, kind of thing. And that's actually come up with my asthma a bit. I've talked about having ADHD and asthma before on this channel, but I've been out road running and stuff, and my asthma hasn't acted up once, and that never really happened when I was growing up. So, and I had pretty moderate to severe asthma. I think it was mild though. I think that one was a mild asthma diagnosis. But it was like my first attack was pretty severe. So yeah, but I think that was mild asthma, and I had to have an inhaler and stuff like that. And I'm fine now, and I'm better than I've ever been. And so I just kind of wonder if like I've grown out of it, or my current lifestyle has made it so it doesn't really affect me anymore. I don't know. But yeah, maybe I'll link to that video. I think I put asthma and ADHD together. That one was from a few years ago. I'm filming this Thursday, 12 October 2023 in the Innisarden community, Washington State, or is it the country of Sealth? Okay, Washington State, United States of America, Planet Earth, the original. At least now it's Washington State. Happy day. Happy time, day and time of viewing whenever you are viewing this. A happy place of viewing wherever you are viewing it from.